Hi, Martin and Jamie. How are you both?
Good,
Hi,
excellent.
good, thanks.
Good. It's good to have you both here today. So, Jamie and Martin are going to share with us a bit of their experience about delivering a project using sport as a vehicle for wider change, but doing it at really quite a significant pace. So, they've managed, Martin's work in particular, they've managed to drive a lot of change in the area just in a really short period of time. So we're going to explore some of the lessons from that around how you could maybe learn from that approach and adopt some of the lessons into your own work. Martin, could you tell us a little bit about the distance that you've travelled in the past 3 years and what the work looks like now?
Yeah, thanks, Connor. Yeah, our work started from the year 2022 when we brought the game of park golf from Japan into Scotland, into UK actually for the very first time. And we saw it as being a route to involving people to improve their mental health and well-being. And we then built on local communities to engage with us to do that. So from the very first year, we probably had about 10 or so community groups coming up to play park golf, which is a simple form of golf, just one club and a ball. And we play it over a short course for about 500 yards long, so it's really easy and accessible for people to play. So the initial groups that came along were groups like Alzheimer's Scotland and Phoenix Futures, and actually they're still with us coming every Tuesday, 3 years on. They've been regular customers all through that time. So year one was all about creating a base of people being involved and welcoming at the club to come and have a game and at the same time have a cup of tea and socialise, because the socialising is really important after the game. And then we moved on in year two to broaden the spectrum of engagement. That engagement is then opened up to the schools, if you like, at the young age end, and the care homes at the older age end. And it's the care homes for me that have been the most astonishing engagement, if you like, over the piece so far. To have people that are in care homes at 80, 90 years old come on to play park golf and looking forward to it once a month for 6 months a year is really amazing to see. And it really did catch the attention of Scottish Golf to the extent they created a video on it and published that. So that's available on YouTube for people to see. So the third year is more about growing the game even further. And the further meant actually developing a Park Golf Scotland website. We're just about to launch that in the next 2 weeks or so. And it was about growth and extending the number of players. So now we're up to more than 500 kids, if you like, coming along. They've got regular weekly sessions. We have about over 1,000 adults now playing sport roughly between the months of April and October every year. But I've got to say, all of this has been done on the success of the magnificent support from local partnerships, the Business Gateway, Active Fife Schools, and Fife Voluntary Action. So it's all a team effort at the end of the day that's brought us so far so quickly.
It sounds amazing. And I know that both of you have talked about that before, the sort of partnership relationship. And I've got the impression, Martin, that there's a lot has been driven by you as the kind of local leader who came up with the idea that's driven it forward. But then you've then worked with and had a lot of support from partners to help you overcome challenges, resource issues, and that kind of thing. Jamie, do you have any views on that or anything you wanted to add in terms of the partnership side?
Yeah, like it's been a great partnership, and yeah, can't believe it's only been 3 years. The amount of kind of support and work that we've done with Martin and his team, and obviously three years ago we weren't aware that park golf even existed. Just through a conversation with Martin, identified this gap in the community that we didn't know existed, and it's enabled groups who are probably your sort of hard to reach groups, if you want to box them up like that. It has allowed these hard to reach groups to access physical activity in a way that's never been delivered before in the UK. And in 3 years, having not known about it, it's the leading example that we all use in our team as that best case scenario example of using sport to change people's lives. It's kind of that powerful, and that's really down to the kind of hard work of Martin as volunteers, but equally the product that they deliver. It's quite simple. It's play with that one club, one ball, but and it's connecting afterwards with over a cup of tea or coffee, and talking through every shot that you played, and the repeat custom that Dunnikier Park Community Golf get as it sort of echoes that. So yeah, it's let's say it's the kind of leading example that we certainly use in Fife on that national perspective, or equally within Fife, that it's that ability to change people's lives through sport.
Yeah, brilliant. So what would you say have been the main, I suppose, Martin, if you were thinking about somebody else that was starting out with an idea the way you had, what would be the main things you would encourage them to do to try and deliver at the pace that you've done that?
I think that being before pace, just a really good understanding of what you're getting into. And that's really the reason why we're launching the Park Golf Scotland website. Hopefully it gives a clear insight into the game itself, what you need to do to prepare to create a park golf course, etc. But really beyond that, then the personalities then kick in of the person leading it. They need to have a clear vision of what they're trying to do over a particular period of time. And nobody can do anything on their own. So you initially need to seek people with common interests that are prepared to come alongside you to support you in what you're doing. So all of that is really critical to moving things forward, because ultimately we need the success of a team to take it forward rather than one individual.
Yeah. Okay. And you talked a little bit about some of those, like, as you said, the sort of personality, the characteristics of the sort of person. And you did also talk about, it doesn't have to be major planning, like a big business plan or anything, but you did talk about the importance of having some sort of ambition around, and you've talked about it in the sort of stages in the years before and so on. Can you tell us just a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think the point is you establish a proof of concept without being too technical, just prove to people that works in layman's language. And if you're getting a buy-in and it starts to take shape and people are returning, as Jamie said, we have a lot of repeat custom, that gives you the confidence to take things to the next step. If you don't reach that step, you've got to adjust to make sure you at least reach that step. Otherwise, it's not going to be sustainable. So once you understand you've reached a minimum platform of sustainability and reliance of service, because all these people now start to depend on you. Once you set it up, they start to want to come back. So you've got to be reliable. You then take it to the next one where we can actually do a bit more. So that the personality needs to be resilient in their own personal ambition to do this. It's not something you can walk away from in 6 months or a year. You need to kind of sign up for a period that will allow you to see it beyond the first 1 or 2 steps. I've got to say that Dunnikier has pretty much reached the platform where it is completely sustainable. Even without grants now, it would probably survive because we're getting some generous donations from 1 or 2 areas. So you need to have to reach a platform where you've got a product that's not going to die overnight, and we've passed that point now. So for the person to be involved in that, they've got to see that, they've got to understand the workings of all that. But it's not technical. You simply see it from the feedback you're getting from people. And clearly, when finances kick in, there are reliable sources of funding through grants, etc., which are really important to provide the money for the supply of clubs and balls. But beyond that, it's pretty much self-fulfilling in terms of how it moves forward. But personality in terms of leadership, clear communicator, a listener, all the things that make a conversation interesting. When people come to you and speak to you as a stranger, after a few weeks, they're no longer a stranger. They become your friends, and that's what makes it tick. So, hey.
Brilliant. Do we have any other reflections on that, just having worked with Martin for a period of time?
Yeah, obviously, Martin's touched on it already. The reason that people are coming back is because they're connecting with Martin and the team of volunteers at Dunnikier Park Community Golf. They're relatable people. People are coming back because they enjoy the welcome, the reception that they get when they attend. It's particularly for the care home residents. It's a bit of a day out for them, but they're coming back because of the relationship that they've built up with Martin and the volunteers. So I would say, advice out of this is that, don't, as a deliverer or as a committee member or someone involved in sport and physical activity in Scotland, is not to underestimate what you do and what your role is within the community. Until we ask that question, we don't necessarily truly understand the value that we have and the volunteers have to members of the community, and you as a Martin, as a sports coach, as a whoever, you're quite often the reason that they're coming. It's not because of the activity, it's because of you. So yeah, definitely something not to underestimate, not to undervalue as well. And yeah, just connect with people, because they'll certainly be sort of on their way back if they can relate to you as a person. Like Martin says, if a good listener and just that relatable personality is a recipe for success, and something that's everyone has capacity to do.
I think just to add, that there's no need for any technical skills in this at all. There's no technical coaching involved in any shape or form. It's very much down to the personal liaison and conversations with people. So a community person is ideal for this.
Yeah. I know that Martin as well, you did talk about that, about making sure when we spoke previously about people that have that community ethos as well, you know, and the commitment to local people. Okay. The very last thing I wanted to just ask you a little bit about was, I think that one of the challenges we have in the sporting system when it comes to work that involves I suppose a new activity or new groups of people and bringing them in some way to the sporting system and existing sports, while I understand this is a new sport as well. I just wondered, Martin, if you could say a little bit about how you've balanced the needs between the sort of mainstream, universal, traditional club bit and the new group of people that you've been bringing on board, how you approach that and what's worked about that.
I think initially setting up the charity in its own right was a clear steer towards the function of the charity as opposed to the functions of the golf club. Although they do dovetail, as I said, because the volunteers mainly come from the golf club, as do the trustees, although we'll have private and third sector trustees as well. I think as well, one of the questions in all of this is how do you actually market and get the message out to actually contact more groups? So a lot of it's down to networking that you do offline, if you like. For example, I was at a health and social care meeting this morning, and when I go to these meetings, I always take along a park golf club and a ball. I just put it on the table because the first thing people are going to do is, "What's this?" So it's the best marketing. It's the best marketing tool you can give rather than standing up and talking to people. And we signed up an interest from the veterans, the blind veteran support. They're interested in coming along, having seen the club this morning, and a lady is going to the local hotel on the Saturday with canopies and drinks in the afternoon, which is like next to the course. And I thought, well, how about trying some park golf? So I'm going to get a phone call on Friday to organise a game for park golf for 50 people on the back of having a conversation with her today. So a lot of it's truly down to conversation and just having a dialogue with people and sharing and showing what's possible.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So you've kind of got into those new groups and new crowds of people by just sharing it. Just every opportunity, it sounds like, Martin, that you talk about it, which is brilliant. And then I know you've said to me that the club, the volunteers and so on, and people involved in the leadership of the charity are also involved in the club. But actually, you've got that clarity that the charity activity is very focused on this group and these specific outcomes, which give you that focus as well.
Yeah, we have a mixture on the trustees that, for example, one's a representative of Fife Golf Trust, who's a partner with us, if you like, in the maintaining and the running of the course. One's a representative of Fife Council in terms of economic development. One's a housing, development manager. So there's a whole mix. One's a disabled person, to reflect the fact that we're encouraging disabled golfers or disabled people to engage with us, etc. So we try to be as widespread as we can in terms of coverage, representing the board as we are representing the people that come along and play.
Brilliant. That's great. Thank you so much to both of you for joining me for this conversation. I'm sure everyone will learn a lot from it. So thanks so much for your time.
Hope it helps.
Bye. Thanks.